Welcome back to Alumni Catch-Up. My name is Ruben, and I'm here with
David Glasco, paralegal at a law firm, entrepreneur, business owner, and podcast host. Long story short, UTSA class of 2014 graduate, former student athlete, and currently a human trying to find his way in life, I guess we can put it that way.
That's awesome. Would you mind telling me the story of where you went to high school and what you were thinking before you went to college? Was it always on your mind? Was a family a big influence? How much of it was self-motivation?
Yeah, so I went to Wagner High School, graduated in 2010. I played multiple sports there, but the one that stood out for me was football, which actually led to me getting my scholarship to UTSA off a football scholarship, which came late, if I'm being honest. I thought for a moment it was looking kind of scary. I remember my dad, there was an article that came out in the newspaper and it was listing like the top San Antonio recruits, and I wasn't on it. I felt upset, to say the least, about it. And so me and my dad kind of had a talk, and we knew like my senior year was going to be very important if I planned on playing collegiate sports. And I ended up having a great senior season, leading San Antonio in rushing yards that year. And from there, the rest was history, I guess you could say. From there, UTSA eventually offered me a scholarship. I accepted. I had a pretty good career, I would say, there. The first running back to score a touchdown in the program history. Yes, I am. So you got to forgive me. I'm old. I forget about some of these records. So yeah. It might be in there. But yeah, so from high school, that was my journey. It was pretty much a make it or break it year that I had to do my senior year, and I made it. And I believe everything happens for a reason. And I've been starting programs. My middle school I was part of that first of the program. My high school was one of the first of the programs. And UTSA, I was part of the original 18, the first ever football team we ever had. So
I'm getting chills. That's amazing to be start of a catalyst event, and you spearheading this with the rushing yards, right? You were running back?
Yeah.
Was there anything that stood out to where you said, this is what I'm going to go with, I'm going to stick with this all the way? Because you said you played multiple sports.
Right.
What other sports did you play?
Basketball, which two of my same teammates in basketball and AAU teammates, Jordan Clarkson and Andre Roberson, both Jordan is still playing in the NBA, actually just won a Sixth Man of the Year award. And Andre had a very good stint in the NBA as well, and still, I think he's still playing a little bit as well, but I just talked to him yesterday about that. But yeah, basketball I was very talented at, but I'll be completely honest with you, Ruben, I had a little ego problem back in the day. So when I found out my sophomore year that I didn't make varsity, I was like, well, forget it. I'm just going straight football. And I kind of regret that. Looking back at it, I should have put my pride to the side and went all out on all sports. But I mean, I don't think it was a mistake. Like, the lesson I learned in that is that I need to humble myself. And I took that lesson to apply with everything I take in life and with sports as well.
Ego isn't a bad thing. Ego often drives us to places we didn't know were accomplishable.
When it's tamed.
I
agree. Even when it's out of control, then it just becomes arrogance. Well, you have to understand it's so hard to turn it on and off. Like you have somebody who this ego, this pride in one stance might make them great. That might make somebody great. That ego or that pride feeling of not wanting another man to show you up when it comes down to fierce competition. But that's why it goes back to being tamed. Like, is it uncontrollable? Because if it's uncontrollable now, when you're off the field or off the court, is that same ego and pride applying to everywhere you go? Or if you're in the club, if you're in the classroom, if you're in the bar. So yeah, it can, I agree. It can definitely be a good thing, but it has to be tamed and maintained. And that's tough because like, as a man and as a competitor, you want to try to be the best version of yourself, and we all get competitive, but can you control it? I guess would be the best question that one would have to ask. It's something that one would have to ask themselves.
Things I do now. Where did you learn to turn your ego on and off? Was it after high school?
Yes, I would say so. That's a great question. I think that so you learn through just going through situations. Like when I first got to UTSA, I was kind of upset that our first year, it was just nothing but practice for a year, which is hard. I don't know if a lot of people understand that since we're a new program that started. So we're just hitting each other every day, getting tired of each other every day at the practice field. But, my first year, I wasn't originally starting. I felt like the coaches and, I've always prided myself on my work ethic and trying to be the best version of myself I could be. And I could say this now, I would never admit it. Just back in the day, there were plenty of people at my position who were better, raw, talented than me. But I felt like my coaches were overlooking me for more so talented people. But I felt like my hard work was going unnoticed for a certain point in time. And so when I actually got my opportunity to play, it was more so of like controlled type of anger. Like it was when I was on the field, it was like, no, I have to like really, really prove myself now. Leave no doubt that I'm the best person here. I went into Coach Coker's office. I told the story a couple of times. And I told him when I was like very low on the depth chart, I said, I know what it's looking like now, but I'm telling you now, I'm going to be the best running back we have here. And he looked at me, kind of laughed it off. And then I had my best season of my career that following year, which was my junior year. So it's so much, man. Like, I feel like I learned how to control it through experiences. I tried the whole being mad all day, and I don't like being mad. So it's like, we got to have some window when we can turn this on and off, right? You can't just be upset and angry all the time.
Now, was there any issues academically or physically, that you had to overcome during your undergrad?
I literally came off the best game of my career. And then the walkthrough leading to that next week, the next game, my foot I jumped up and caught a pass, came down, and I felt my foot just exploded. Like it was over. So I had to deal with that difficulty, and I missed the last 3 games of that season, I believe. But it was little aches in there. Our first year, I kept having hamstring problems, but I have to give credit to Coach Dudley, who was our strength and conditioning coach at the time. He got with me and was like, look, man, your hamstrings are a bit abnormal. So he got me on a routine of special stuff I had to do to make sure that I prevented these type of injuries from occurring. But I mean, that's part of the game. I don't know anybody who's made it through a football career healthy. But, it's just frustrating because if you're around your teammates, you see all the work they're putting in and you're like, man, I hate being here and I can't do anything. It's a feeling of helplessness.
What resources did you use at UTSA that contributed to your success? You said the strength and conditioning coach was good for your football, but was there anything academically that you took advantage of?
Yes, and this is advice I give people all the time. I think networking is crucial. There's people who I've met at UTSA, Langston Clark, some of the faculty members, Miss Farah, you're going to have to forgive me, I don't remember her last name, but I believe she's still there. Miss Cindy, there's plenty of people. My man, rest in peace, Mr. Bill Hickey. These are all connections with people on the staff that I've made, which lasted way longer than my playing days. Sean Worthen, there's just people who were there at UTSA who helped me, who I picked their brains. I've always been a nosy little runt. So every time I see something and I'm curious on how it works, I'm always stopping people like, hey, what is that? Like, I get on their nerves eventually enough so they break it all down. And so I did that with these people and more. And just a curiosity of learning led me to making the right connections, preparing myself for life after sports and life after college in general. So I think that my networking was probably the best thing. I think that any college student should take advantage of it. Because you have that window to make those certain connections, and you're only going to be there for X amount of years. So I think every student should take advantage of that, especially.
You mentioned you had a podcast and you're an entrepreneur. Was there any classes that you took at UTSA that were a catalyst for that? They have entrepreneur classes now. Did you take
do they really? Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's awesome. But no, I'll say this. I took communications was my major. I took a class, and this is going to sound horrible, but I hated it because it sounded like it was an advertising and marketing class, and it sounded like the layout for advertising something. I understand it to a certain point, but I also feel like I've also always felt in life what not to do is just as important, if not more important, than what you should be doing. And so when I'm hearing like, here's a blueprint for advertising this product. And I'm thinking in my head, well, yeah, you could do it that way, but maybe what happened if you just did it like this? Or if you're not adding in the shock factor and you're not adding in the human elements, human emotions, the psychology pretty much of a person that goes into your marketing and advertising. You're just saying, this is the product. This is how we're going to market it. This is how we're going to go about it. But what if you don't do that? Because this is the normal, this is the stereotypical way of doing something. What if you tweak it a little bit? And so that class really helped me in a weird, odd way because I saw these things and I was kind of, 18, 19-year-old David trying to question everything. And so just, it challenged me to try to think outside the box. I don't even remember the name of the class, but I do think that was the most vital class I took at UTSA because it got my mindset working that way to be a little different.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned you were 18 at the time, taking a class that you weren't too happy to take, but you took it anyway. You passed it. What was your favorite year of your college?
My junior year.
Why junior year?
That was the funnest year we had in football. We were winning a lot. We would have made a bowl game that year, but I think we were 7-5, I believe, but there was some rule since we were a new program or something we couldn't go or something, but we were having a lot of fun on the football field. Socially, I was just in a good time in my life, man. The school life was fun. Me going to classes, I was doing well with my grades during that time. It was just all around a good fun year. Like I said, I've always been somebody who's prioritizing my happiness. And I feel like that was a time in my life when I was just very, very happy. So I would definitely say my junior year.
When you went to UTSA, did you ever stay at any of the dorms or did you have off campus?
Yeah, I stayed at Chaparral Village. I believe that's what it was called. The basketball players and the track team, they stayed at the other one across at Laurel. And, now y'all got all these different student houses, and I don't know what the names of anything is. But yeah, I stayed at Chap, moved off of campus my sophomore year. Yeah, my sophomore year, I moved off campus. So I moved around. Everywhere was around. But yeah, Chap, because, we had to go to the CAF and check in for breakfast in the morning before practice and stuff. And then the only disadvantage of that was when we had when we moved off campus and when they built our practice fields on the campus. So now, I'm off campus, so now I got to drive to campus to make it a practice. And during 2 days, it sucks. I'm over here hollering at my teammates who got a room there still. I'm like, hey, man, let me take a nap in your room before we got these meetings or whatever. But yeah, Chap was where I stayed on campus at UTSA.
Hey, man, if you went back now, you'd be like, oh, so many things have changed.
Yeah. Even when I just drive through, like I went to I think the last spring game or spring practice on campus, and I drove through. I'm like, this wasn't there when I was here, and this and this. It's a total night and day difference. Total night and day, which is good. The university is
the parking's atrocious either way.
Oh, it's always been bad. It's always been bad. I've gotten so many tickets. It's just like, dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's always been bad.
Well, let me ask you this. We talked about your upbringing. We finished up your college career, played football. When did you really hone in on your entrepreneur skills? Was this in law school or was this out of law school?
So I opened up my barber/beauty shop with my great friend, Addison Randall, my childhood friend, one of my best friends, brother to this day, right before I went off to law school. Because my whole concept was I needed a business. What is something that people always need? People can always need haircuts. Women are always going to want to get their hair done. And so my concept was I wanted to have something, me knowing that I was going to be moving away and going off to school in law school in Michigan. I wanted to have something that could be self-sufficient that didn't necessarily need me there all the time to be ran. And so we got together. He's my childhood friend and my barber from my childhood. And we decided to open up a barber/beauty shop, still going to this day. And that's just when it kind of, kicked off. Like I said, my whole pursuit of things is always happiness first. What can I open? Of course, this is going to be something profitable for me, but at the same time, is this going to be stressful on me to a certain extent? Because stress is necessary to try to elevate, I think, but if I can limit it as much as I can, that's my whole business concept. I want to have as least stress everybody does, but I really, really, really seriously take that into consideration when I'm trying to open something. So that's kind of where it started. Like me just thinking of things that will be self-efficient, that won't have to rely on me for too much. And I can give other people opportunities to display their art. I love art in any type of form. I do think haircuts and hair in general is an art. So I feel good knowing that I'm giving artists their, a platform so they can paint pretty much is how I feel about it. Yeah.
If you could do any business today, money's not involved, time, stress, like, what would you want? Yeah.
Any business. I could do any business.
Or businesses, like, just think, like, tell us your dreams,
My dream is to do a bunch of that. A bunch of things that I don't need to be there. Something like a parking garage. Something that I can open up and maybe every now and then I have to check on it for liability reasons and things of that sort. But a parking garage runs itself. You put the money in, the thing goes up, it lets you in and you get out. It's rinse and repeat. Simple concept. Real estate too. I feel like that's one of those. You might, depending on how you approach it, maybe you have to renovate a little bit and all that. But yeah, my whole concept, it would just be a bunch of profitable businesses that are self-reliant. That would be, if I could do any business, that's what it would be. My dream is to create something where, and I'm working on that. I can't tell you exactly what it is. We'll do another interview when it gets made. I'll call you. But I want to create something to where I can create it, make enough money, work my butt off for maybe a year or two, and then I can sail off into the sunset and live the rest of my life doing whatever I want.
That's awesome.
I don't want to work for a living. My belief is I don't think humans are put here to work. We're here to enjoy life. I feel like we don't take advantage of that enough. So yeah, I want to really just come up with some great ideas, and I just want to relax the rest of my life.
You'll get there. With the technology, the way it's moving, would you take advantage of artificial intelligence to automate?
For certain things, yes. Like a chat GPT I've used to help with my podcast and other things. And yeah, I feel like you kind of have to. Now, where it starts getting tricky and creepy is if this starts turning to Skynet and Terminator 2 starts becoming a reality with robots out here doing the thing. But I think you're kind of at a disadvantage if you don't take advantage of artificial intelligence at this point, because it's here. It's here. It's you got to get with the times. You got to adapt. But my fear is there not being a necessity for humans with this artificial intelligence coming in. And that's what I don't want to happen. But because, that puts people, that's like the printing press put people out of a job with newspaper stuff. And I feel like this could be the second coming of that. And I would hate for that to be the case. But you have to take advantage of it to a point. But I just don't want it getting to the point where it's ruining us as a society.
Mm-hmm. Let's touch on law school. So you went to Michigan. I've been to Michigan. I stayed with Lauren for a summer, worked up there at Meridian Mall, if you remember.
Okay,
Meridian
Mall. Yeah.
Did you have a job while you worked in law school?
Junior and senior year, I had an easy job, man. My job was, and it was real cool, I actually worked at the school. So I was a guy, if somebody forgot their password, they called like, hey, I can't log into my account. Oh, here, let me look it up. Boom, here it is. Easiest job in the world. Made decent money for it. Because the thing about law students is we're broke. We're broke. You're dirt broke when you're in law school. All this money's going towards book and the student loan you got to take out. You're broke. We're all up there broke. So a little something to put like a cool $200 a week in my pocket or something. So that was more than enough for me at the time.
That is an easy job. Yeah, especially stressful as law school. Oof, man, that's a nice job. Did you ever think about what life would be like if you played at MSU? Any sport at MSU? Just being there, law student, and playing, do you think it'd be too much?
No. I think because I feel like, once again, I don't think that there was any accident in my trajectory where I was supposed to go and what I did. So I never really came to conclusions of like, man, well, what would have happened if I was here or that? Like, I never really thought of it that way. I always have been a person thinking like, the path that I walk down is my path, and that's where I'm supposed to be. So like, no, I never really considered it, playing football anywhere else, to be honest with you.
Just good. It didn't distract you too bad. At UTSA, I hear there when I'm walking from the parking lot, I always take a nice stroll, right? Walk past the practice. I hear the whistle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
You're giving me PTSD.
I think I'm late. I think I'm late and I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Some relief. Well, the thing is, I still to this day, like, will randomly wake up in the middle of the night and be like, did I miss weights? Like, you know, it's like, it's some triggering, like when you've been doing something so intensely for 4 or 5 years, it's just, I'm 32 now. That was over a decade ago when I played my last football game. But it's like, you don't forget that stuff. Like, it's ingrained in me forever.
Freshman year of law school, did anything interesting happen?
Yeah, got hit in the face with what it's like to really be a student. Because like I said, when I was at UTSA, to be honest with you, I didn't take my academics as seriously as I should have. And I got into law school and I was like, oh, wow, this is work. You know, and there's something and every law student would know what I'm talking about. Your sister would know this too, called the Socratic method. And it's from Socrates, and his belief is that everybody knows something. So even if it's a little bit of something, everybody knows something. So what they do, these teachers, you're assigned to read maybe, let's say, if I'm in crim class this week and we're going over homicide and murders, we have to read maybe 3 cases on it. And most teachers do this. They're not going to tell you, okay, I'm calling on you next class. It's like, no. Everybody in this class, this auditorium might be like 100 students in there. Y'all read this case. Y'all read these 3 cases. And then I'm picking on 3 of you randomly to explain to me about these 3 cases. So that could be a little nerve wracking. You know, a lot of people aren't comfortable standing up in front of people and talking. And, you know, me moving away to Michigan, never been away from San Antonio my whole life, don't know anybody in Michigan. And I'm introduced to that. And I'm like, oh, wow. I think the paranoia and the fear from that is what made me excel and eventually graduate from law school. So I didn't want to be, one thing I don't like doing is looking like I'm stupid. So I think my paranoia and fear from that made it to where I was prepared as much as I can in every class to, you know, accomplish and do what's great in that law school. And it was fun. Like I said, when I'm learning something, as long as it's something interesting to me, I'm going to enjoy it. And I enjoyed law school. I really did.
For you, was it unraveling the story and finding the facts and presenting it to the 12 there and the court? Could you start to envision yourself like, oh, I'm a lawyer and this is how I'm going to solve this?
I think it's more so understanding that even if both of us are right, we could still be wrong. I think the interest in that was what really fascinated me about it. It's saying, you know, because our legal system isn't perfect, but there's some concepts that are very interesting just to see how other people think and they would approach a problem. So it's the fact that I feel very strongly about this. This is my argument, but somebody else saying, no, I feel the exact opposite, and this is my argument. You kind of arguing semantics at a point, but it's really the nuances and the details, because you're looking at every crime or every legal jargon, I should say, for the most part, has elements that make up. So if you do A, B, and C, you're guilty of this. And so by arguing, well, maybe they really didn't do B. You know, maybe this one thing that makes this crime is kind of shaky and murky. So, you know, going toe to toe with somebody and seeing how different they might feel about something, especially a passionate topic, I think it's just interesting. It's very interesting. And it's not perfect. There isn't any legal system that is perfect, but I think we try here in America. We try to make it as good as it can be, but it can still be better and improved upon, for sure.
What would you say was your highlight year of law school?
It was my freshman year when I won this debate pretty bad. I pretty much killed this guy in the debate we had. And once I did that, I remember calling my dad, and like that was my awakening, because I was kind of struggling at first. Like I said, I wasn't really getting the concept. Like, I've always been somebody, it takes me a little longer to fully grasp things, because once again, experience is the best teacher. But like, once I had that breakthrough moment, I think that's when like I realized, okay, I can do this. You know, I'm good at this. I'm good at proving my point and letting people and presenting facts to prove my point at that. So I think my freshman year, midway through my freshman year, that was the year where I realized, like, all right, we're good. We can we can do this. We're gonna be okay.
And that kept you. I mean, that's what they call an upward spiral.
Yeah,
kept you all the way to senior year.
absolutely.
What was graduation like?
It was one of the proudest moments of my life. One of the proudest moments of my life, to be honest. Seeing my whole family there for some dream that I had to do, wanted to do since I was a 7-year-old boy. Seeing my family come up there and support me, and another one of my dear friends who passed away, Andrew, being there with his family came in to even see. He was from Atlanta. And his family even came to see me graduate. And, you know, one of the most proud moments of my life, man, second to none. Knowing that you worked hard for something. I guess you can, I'm not going to go back to football analogy, but the thing is, when you work hard for something and you work hard to accomplish something, then you finally see your hard work pay off 3 years later, excuse me. I feel like it's a beyond proud feeling. And that definitely is one of my most proudest moments of my life, graduating law school.
How'd you celebrate that night?
Oh man. I kicked it with my family, to be honest. My family came all the way up from Texas to Michigan. So we just stayed. They were at a hotel. We just stayed at the hotel, had a couple drinks, and we're just chilling, man. Like, just kicking it with the family. I kept it real simple.
Those winters up there in
Michigan.
How did you fare for that?
You know what? It's funny. I got a video on my phone the first time, 'cause that's the first time I ever saw snow. And I was like, oh my God, it's snowing. Like, so happy and like lost in it. After day one, I was like, okay, snow's still here. It's cool. After day two, I was like, all right, this needs to go. Like, I don't like waking up early, dusting this stuff off my car. Like,
did you have a truck or you still had?
I had a small, stupid me, right? I had a small CLS Mercedes Benz that was very low to the earth. No, I did not have a truck.
You and my sister probably had the same gripe, yeah.
And so, that wasn't smart looking back at it. So, but
y'all both made it.
Yeah,
she even made it back to San Antonio with that car.
Really, yeah. I had to, because I bought it when I was down here after my first semester up there, and I drove it up there, and then I ended up driving it back. But yeah, man, it wasn't fun. That prep, like having to wake up 30 minutes. Well, it's like here in San Antonio, it's like you wake up, you're like, is it hot or cold? Oh, that's really the end all be all to it. In Michigan, that's like, is it hot? Is it cold? Is it snowing? Is it raining? Is it sleet and ice? Like, there's days I wake up and I'm like, just look out my window and I see snow on the ground. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, I hated it. I hated the snow. I hated it.
I bet you're glad to be back.
Oh yeah.
Would you ever go back to Michigan just to visit?
Of course. It's a beautiful city. It's a beautiful state. I mean, they really have the fall there, man. It's lovely. When the leaves change colors and everything, it's gorgeous. I would go back in a heartbeat. But it's just, I'm staying away from the winters though, man. When the snow comes, that's when it's time for me to boogie on out of there.
Come to your second home, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did law school. What happened after graduation? Was there a time where you took a break? I mean, I assume, did you graduate in the fall or the spring?
I graduated in spring 2019.
Did you do anything in the summer? Did you have a week to relax? Were you already looking at jobs?
So it was just a whole bunch of moving, man. There was a lot going on in my life. Unfortunately, shortly after I graduated, that's when my good friend Andrew passed away. And so it was kind of rough dealing with that, and it was just a lot of transitioning periods. I don't want to say, no, that's the right word. I was kind of questioning what I was trying to do with my law degree to a certain point. But I feel like it was a lot of stuff I wanted to figure out, a lot of decisions I had to make. And I think I'm still battling with that to a certain point. I think I am, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, but comfort, what's the saying? Comfort is the enemy of progression. So I think sometimes I feel like that, like I could be doing a little more. And it's that whole period was kind of like a figuring out period. And I'm still a little bit in that process, but I think for the most part, I'm good where I'm at, but it's still a couple steps that need to be made.
When did you start your first day of work?
At my current job?
After you graduated.
After I graduated?
So you had, I'm assuming, more than one.
Yeah. Oh, man. It was close to my birthday. following year, I want to say. So that would be September of 2019. Yeah, it was somewhere around my birthday. So September 2019, I was at R.L. Wilson Law Firm. Shout out to Trey Wilson, very, very, very good property attorney here in San Antonio. Yeah, that was my first legal job after graduating. Yeah.
Have you thought of moving anywhere else for law?
I'm never against moving anywhere, man. I mean, shoot, I packed up everything and went to Michigan off a whim. So I love Toronto. I don't know how my girl feels about that, but I love Toronto. My thing is just those winters. Those winters, that cold. Toronto, Chicago. I even been looking into Oregon. Like, there's been places. So yeah, I'm not afraid of traveling anywhere as far as that goes. But yeah, I just have to. Hopefully, if I go somewhere, it's not cold and it doesn't snow.
You have that can go anywhere, make it anywhere attitude. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. Did that stem from childhood? Did you ever have, did you have siblings growing up?
Yeah, I'm one of three. I'm the middle child. I have two sisters, one older, one younger. I think that's just my fearless. I've never been afraid to do much, to be honest with you. I can't really tell you the last time I was nervous. I just think because I feel like we're just here for such a limited time, man. I don't feel like we have time to be afraid to do things. Like, we have to try to accomplish as much as we can, and I don't think it should be limited by a demographic or a geography location. Like, if you can go somewhere and do something, I think you should go do it.
Yeah. Would that be the same advice you give to anyone at
Absolutely.
UTSA?
Absolutely. Don't let the fear of the unknown control your decision. And don't let anybody else's example of failure scare you into not even attempting to try. Like, I think the worst thing you can do is not even try. If you're going to fail, that's fine. We all fail at a point in time, but not even attempting to fail is a fate I wish on nobody. I think that you should at least try. If you care for something that much, attempt it. If you fall short, you fall short. It is what it is, but at least you have that comfort being like, I tried it.
It's good. So we touched on a little bit what you're doing now. You work, current job, where you work?
Paralegal over at Lindau Stevens and Schultz, like right up the street from here.
And what do they do? What do they specialize in?
Auto insurance firm.
Car accidents.
Yes. Yep. Car accidents, dog bites, all that type of.
Always busy.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Tell me more about your podcast.
Yeah, so Cold Coffee Show with me, co-host with my cousin, DJ Original, and Miss Nay. We are the panel. Clifton, who is also a celebrity. I'm sorry, I forgot his last name. And cameraman Takoya M. I forgot his last name too. But yeah, I got nicknames for everybody. I'm trying to be professional. Yeah.
Where can we view Cold Coffee Chat?
You can do it. So if you follow our Instagram at Cold Coffee Pod, the link is on my channel called The Human Network. It's in the bio of the Instagram page. But you can view it on YouTube. We're live every Thursday at Culture Vibe Dining in Stone Oak at 7:30. Every Thursday, that's when we do a live studio, live audience interactive show. So it's very unique. The thing about the show is that we're talking, but it's not just us talking. It's the audience is just as big. They're like another member every week. So we have microphones circulating in the audience, and they give us feedback or give us their opinion on stuff. But it's a very interactive show. It's fun, man, and yeah, it's been going on for about 2.5 years now. So yeah, I definitely enjoy it. It's something that allows me to decompress and get some of these thoughts off. Sometimes more controversial thoughts than others, but
yes, an artist being an artist, that's who you are.
Right.
So when did this first start? You said you've been for 2 years.
Yeah.
Who came up with the idea? Was it you who put this together?
Yeah, it was me at my mom's house, at my room at my mom's house back 2 years ago. Randomly bought all this equipment. It was like, I'm just going to do this. It was me in front of a computer just talking. And I still have that episode up on our YouTube page purposely because I want people to see how far it transitioned. It went from me in front of the computer to me at a daiquiri lounge. And now it's me at Culture, who we're very, very happy to be in partnership with. And in front of all these people and everybody just expressing themselves and getting their thoughts. I think that's what it started off as a form of therapy for me. I think it was more therapeutic, something where I could just express myself freely. Because I don't think a lot of men, in particular Black men, don't have a lot of channels to where they can express themselves freely and not be judged and criticized for it. So I think it started off as that for me, and then it developed into, okay, this is actually good, but how can we make this better? Then this came on bringing on co-hosts, and it came on, doing it in front of a crowd, all these other assets. And then I realized I think that we found a perfect niche right now with what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For those at home, is there a special episode that you would like people to view? What's your favorite?
Man, we've recorded a lot, man. I can't really tell you one. I will say this. I think that every episode has some type of jewel in it that people can learn. Because like I said earlier, learning what not to do is just as important as learning what to do. And I think you can see both examples of that at every show. Because, it's not just us talking. It's people who I've never met before who are in the crowd, and they're opening up and they're being vulnerable with their situation. So I can't say that there's a favorite episode, but I will say every episode you watch, you will learn something.
That's good, because there's someone you don't expect to speak in the crowd.
Absolutely.
I gotta go.
Yeah. Come on. You welcome anytime you want.
This is Stone Oak? You said
Stone Oak at Culture. It's in the same strip as the Smashing Crab. Smashing Crab at Stone Oak. Yeah.
Use that.
Of the Santerra.
Is there anything that you would like to say before we close? Any advice you would give to fellow Roadrunner?
I guess I would say fail often, fail soon, and keep failing. And when I say keep failing to prepare yourself for the success. I don't think that any person who has made it to be a master at their craft has done so without facing adversity at a point in time. And so I think that our generation has a bad problem with when things get hard, we tend to want to just lay down and let it happen. I think that you have to go through hell sometimes to get to heaven. And I think that you should embrace failure as much as possible. I know that's tough. That can be difficult because nobody wants to fail, but it's a stepping stone. So as weird and as counterproductive as that may sound, fail as much as you can, because it's only going to prepare you for the big success that's on the road.
Thank you very much, David, for your time.
Thank you, man.
This has been an episode of Alumni Catch Up with David Glasco.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our other videos, as well as following our other platforms to keep up with exciting news.